In April 1981, in a quiet mountain town called Keddie in Northern California, a brutal crime took place that should have been solved quickly. It wasn't, and that failure still haunts American criminal history. Cabin 28 was a small wooden holiday cabin, often rented by tourists. At the time, it was home to a single mother, Sue Sharp, her teenage son, John, his friend, Dana Wingate, and two younger children who were asleep in a nearby bedroom. On the night of April 11th, neighbors heard nothing unusual. No screams, no struggle, no signs of panic. The next morning, Sue Sharp's daughter returned home and walked into a nightmare. Inside the living room, Sue Sharp, her son John, and Dana Wingate were all dead. They had been beaten, stabbed, and strangled. Their bodies were bound with electrical wire and medical tape. One victim had been stabbed dozens of times. The scene was violent, but strangely controlled. There were no signs of forced entry. The kitchen showed signs that people had eaten before the murders. Plates were out, food had been prepared. It looked as if the victims knew whoever was with them. Even more disturbing, in the same cabin, two young children were found alive in a bedroom. They had slept through the entire attack. They heard nothing. That detail alone raised a chilling question. How brutal was the crime, and how quiet were the killers? Police arrived quickly, but mistakes began almost immediately. The cabin was not sealed properly, neighbors walked in and out, evidence was moved, blood patterns were disturbed, key items went missing. Investigators initially focused on random theories, robbery, drugs, outsiders passing through the area, but nothing fit. Valuable items were left behind, no one reported seeing strangers. Then the case took a darker turn. Years later, it was revealed that the FBI had secretly recorded conversations involving people connected to the case. Those recordings suggested that the murders were planned, involved more than one person, and that at least one suspect was known to law enforcement early on. But that information was never acted on properly. Even worse, crucial evidence, including the murder weapon, was allegedly destroyed by the police decades later without notifying the victims' families. When surviving witnesses were re-interviewed years later, new details emerged. The timeline didn't add up. Alibis fell apart. Certain individuals had suspicious injuries after the murders. Yet no arrests were made. No one was charged. To this day, the Keddie cabin murders remain unsolved. 3 people were killed in one of the most violent domestic crime scenes of the 1980s. 2 children slept through it, and the truth was buried under lost evidence, ignored leads, and investigative failure. The question is no longer just who committed the murders. It's how a crime this brutal, this obvious, and this close to home was allowed to disappear without justice, and whether the people responsible were known all along.